Hi, it's Dr. Parikh, and welcome to Writing in Psych. This video just tells you a little bit about me and my background and how I approach teaching. So I have a PhD in counseling psychology that I earned in 2014 from Purdue University. And I went to the University of Akron in Ohio, which is where I'm from, for my undergrad, and I did psychology and the honors program. So then I went to Purdue in Indiana for my PhD, and I did, for counseling and clinical psych, there's a year-long internship that you do right before you graduate, and I did mine at a women's prison in Minnesota. And then moved to New Jersey. My husband's originally from New Jersey, and he had gotten a job here while I was on internship, so I came to New Jersey, and the year after that started working at Caldwell. So I've been working at Caldwell University since 2015. Before that, I taught part-time at Brooklyn College and Montclair State. Yeah. So I teach, right now I teach a ton of writing, and I love teaching it. I love it because there's a creative piece to it. Even though it's not what you think of with like creative writing, you're not letting your fancy take you wherever you want. You're not writing characters and dialogue, but you are still making something that wasn't in the world before. You're putting ideas together in a way that's slightly different than anyone else. And even though you're not collecting data, so you don't have to collect data for this course, but you're still thinking like a researcher, including designing a small project. A very small project, you don't get to let your imagination run wild because I need it to follow the structure of a typical paper, and you don't have enough knowledge and skill yet, most of you at this stage, to do that. And so I just have the template set for you to do this really simple study write-up. I take the approach of if you're getting stuck, it means the step is too big. So I make lots of little steps. You're probably never going to repeat this. You're never going to do all of these steps when you do a paper in the future, but you'll find the ones that are most helpful to you, and you'll do some of them. And I also want to create an approach you can use when you feel stuck. If you're working on a paper in a future class, and you're just not making forward progress, you're not getting momentum, you'll have a lot of things that you can go back to say, okay, I just need to get these articles read. So let me get out my articles notes template, and I'll just write up article notes, even though I don't usually do that anymore. Or you'll have resources. You'll know, okay, I can go to the writing center if I have difficulty. Or you'll know what it's like to meet with your professor to say, okay, I'm not sure, I'm just confused on my topic, and you'll know that that's a thing you can do. When I teach this course, I very much think of the paper as a utilitarian thing, meaning it is serving a function. This paper is not going to be amazing. It's not going to be very in-depth. So this is a training wheels paper. It's meant to teach you the skills for moving forward. I'm very pragmatic in general. I see myself as your ally while also being the enforcer of the syllabus, which is a weird dual role. I am for you, and I am also the barrier between you and credit for this course. The way I approach that is I created this syllabus. I did the best work I could. I made what seemed like a reasonable course. Now that is set. That is the contract between you and me. It can only get better for you. So if I think an assignment's not working, sometimes I'll try something new, or sometimes there'll be something that I've been trying and I finally accept that it's not working well. If I'm ever going to change anything, it's only going to be to make the course easier for you, and I'm going to check in with as many students as I can before I make that change, and I'm going to make that change really clear. So occasionally I will give you longer to work on something, or even skip an assignment. Probably not in the online class anymore. I think I've gotten all the kinks worked out now, but it's possible sometimes things happen. Also, sometimes something will happen in my life where I know I'm not going to be able to grade something. Let's say something was originally due on Friday, and I thought I would be able to grade that weekend, but now I know I'm not going to be able to. I might push the deadline back a little bit because I try to make deadlines meaningful. I try not to just create arbitrary things. That being said, I've experimented with different approaches to deadlines, and one thing I've realized is that when I'm overly flexible, for some students, it becomes very hard to feel motivated to actually get stuff in. And I am a very deadline-driven person. So particularly this semester, I'm going back to being extremely strict about deadlines, especially for the online class, because things move really quickly. And what I find is that when I get people spread out in different places, it's really tough for me to keep up to give meaningful feedback. If you work ahead, unless you talk with me directly about why you're working ahead, I usually don't give feedback until I sit down and grade everything at once. Because it's much, this course, I love teaching it and I teach a lot of it, but it can be, I could easily pour 5 or 10 hours into each and every one of you every week. And that's just not realistic. In many ways, I base this mentoring relationship on the relationship I had with my advisor when I was in grad school. And she had maybe 10 students total that she was working with on dissertation. And she would teach 2 classes a semester in fall and spring. This is part of my course load, but I'm teaching 4 or more classes, and I have, the cutoff right now is 18 for each class. So I have really worked to try to give you as much feedback as I can without burning myself out. So a lot of the feedback I give you is in terms of a rubric, or we have 2 individual meetings. If you can't possibly make an individual meeting work, even over the phone or the internet, I'll do a quick screen recording, very similar to what my videos look like for class, except instead of posting it in class, I'll make it a private link and share it with you so that you get to hear me talking through, because I can just give so much more feedback when I'm talking than I can written or over the rubric. What else about me? I have a son, Mohan. He was born in 2018. I used to have guinea pigs. I love board games. I have tried to hide my shelf because that seems a little distracting. I see one of my big roles in this class as your cheerleader. So I want each of you to succeed. I've broken this class down again into teeny tiny steps. So when you look at the to-do list, it's going to seem really long. It is really long, but most of the assignments are quick, and most of the assignments you can actually do or at least start while you're watching the videos. I make my videos as detailed as possible. So know that you can speed them up or slow them down if you go into YouTube and mess with the playback speed. You can use closed captioning. I find that helps me focus when I'm listening to, when I'm watching something. Or if you just have trouble picking up words. On email, I'm often very responsive, but I'm also working to take weekends, for the most part, off. I know with an online class, I can't, it's not fair to be completely unavailable every Saturday and Sunday in my mind. But I will probably slow down to checking email about once on the weekend and giving brief responses. Because email is something, again, I could easily spend, if you think if a third of the class sends me an email that takes me 10 minutes to respond to, and pay attention the next time you respond to an email. 10 minutes is not very long for responding to an email. If a third of the class does that, that's an hour for me, because that's 6 people. An hour times 4 classes or more. That's half my day just responding to emails for those short questions. So when you have a question, always check to see if you can find it in the syllabus first or on Blackboard, because if I know it's in the syllabus or on Blackboard, I'm probably just going to respond, check the syllabus. Things like dates, you may think that I know this class forward and backwards, but I'm teaching a lot of classes and I've got a lot going on. So I would have to look it up to know the date also. If you have a really big, broad, if your question is, how do I do this assignment? I'm either going to tell you to watch the video, or I might send you the video link if I'm feeling generous. Typically, I have already explained assignments as well as I possibly can. I did a video that walked through it as clearly as I could. I made a template that's as detailed as I could make it. And often I also have a description in Blackboard that's as clear as I can make it over text. So if you still have questions, that's fine. If you have specific questions like how many sources do I need, or especially if you have something like, did I format this correctly? Those are great questions to ask me. If you have, but to say, how do I do this project? If you feel completely lost, that's a different issue. If you have watched the video, looked at the template, read the descriptions, and you're still lost, like don't even know where to start, don't know what to ask me, then what you need to email me is, Dr. Parikh, I need to talk with you. I've done this, this, and this, and I still feel frozen. And we will talk. We'll connect by phone if we can. We'll do video chat, or, if nothing else works, we'll do phone. We'll see if we can do an in-person appointment. I have my office hours kind of spread out through the week. And sometimes I can do other meetings too, sometimes not. And I always try video chat too, which makes me a lot more flexible time-wise. If you want a meeting, try to always send 3 time options because that just gets the ball started. If none of those work for me, then I'll send a few suggestions and we'll go back and forth. But if you're requesting a meeting with me, just include some time suggestions from the beginning because every time we email each other back and forth, it's slow, it may be another 3 or 4 hours or a day or two before I can get back to email. Sometimes the way my classes and meetings stack, I just don't get to email very quickly. But on the other hand, sometimes you'll email me and get a response back in minutes, especially if it's a specific question that I can answer fairly quickly. I'll often do it on my phone. If I happen to be on my computer, you might get a quick response. So I don't, I don't wait on principle, but I respond as quickly as I can within reason. But one thing to remember, for you, school is a push, right? Like, it's 4, 5, 6 years, depending on how, if you're doing part-time, it might be a little more. But it's this period of time, and then you start your real life. This is my real life. This is my job. This is what I'm doing for the foreseeable future. And so I have to keep it manageable. I can't be on 24/7. But again, I keep in mind, particularly online students, that the pace is fast. I plan my weeks out. Like I purposely don't have office hours Monday mornings so that I know I can save that time for grading stuff because I know my online class usually has stuff due Sunday night. So when I plan my week, I plan with you guys in mind. And I will do my best to grade things and get things back quickly. I've scaled back how many things you get feedback from me on because I want to be able to give you your feedback quickly or not give it at all. And the way I've scaled back on what I give feedback on is I've had to do more peer feedback and I've had to use the Writing Center earlier in the class. Because if you want weekly individual hour-long meetings, that's really what you got to do. I can do a few, I can help you get unstuck, but if you want that ongoing in-depth feedback, the Writing Center is really the most appropriate resource. But you can always come to me with questions. If you're not sure if you should meet with me, if you should go to the Writing Center, you can always reach out to me. You've got my email, you've got my office phone number, and you can always find me in Viseglia 149. What else do I want to tell you? The class is intense. I have I've stretched things out. I've tried to make, before the first 3 weeks were really, really intense, and then the last 2 weeks were kind of just sliding. So I'm having a little anxiety. I've pushed the heavier stuff back later in the course. Because I really want to give you time to read and digest your early work and to really work on basic paraphrasing skills. But it's still a lot of work. It's still going to move. It seems, a lot of students feel like it's more work than a typical online class. That being said, the students who have stayed in and finished the online class, almost all of them say, we liked it. I'm glad I took it online and I'm glad it was 7 weeks. Because I've asked them, should I make it a full semester? And students repeatedly say, it was intense, but it was doable. And it was nice because they could focus on this class before their other classes really sped up. And they also liked that they had the skills in time to use it for their other classes. So it's a course where you're going to grow a lot. And that's, if we go back to, I started talking about why I like the course. What I really love about it, even more than getting to create, is getting to see the growth in my students over the course of the semester. I see your skills improve and I see your confidence improve. I also see you come together as groups, and I actually see this in the online class even more than in my in-person class. I created the discussions to be smaller group, partly to take you less time because, if I'm expecting you to read everybody's and be responding, it makes sense. It's just faster if you only have 6 people in your group versus a whole class of 18. But also I wanted to let you really get to know each other and give, good feedback to each other. And each week, part of what you're getting points for is just doing a little check-in. And I look through those. You guys do a fantastic job of supporting each other. But I look through and I'll sometimes throw in my support and my encouragement. And it also lets me know just how things are going as a whole for the class. I have high standards, but I work hard to give you tools and resources to help you meet them. And I'm really excited to spend the semester with you. Thanks.